Erik Karlsson is no doubt one of the best NHL defensemen to play in the last 10 years. Now, with that being said, the question we got to ask ourselves is, where's Erik Karlsson going to be once his contract is up at the end of next season? Now, in my opinion, do I think he's going to stay with the Ottawa Senators? Very unlikely, in my opinion, unless he signs for less than $8 million a season. Now, the reason I say that is you look at players like Matt Duchene, Mike Hoffman, Craig Anderson, and Mark Stone, whose contracts end this season or at the end of next season. Now, with that being said, you get rid of Matt Duchene, you have no center depth, as they already got rid of Kyle Turris and traded away Derek Brassard to the Pittsburgh Penguins. You get rid of Mark Stone, well, you're getting rid of one of your franchise players as well as one of your keen offensive players. Mike Hoffman is the same thing, and if they choose to part ways with Craig Anderson, they're most likely going to need to bring in a new starter and still have to pay heavily for a starting goaltender. So Ottawa is going to have a lot of troubles with signings in the next year and two, as well as Erik Karlsson is probably going to be looking at that $10 to $12.5 million range, that Jack Eichel, Connor McDavid kind of range there for his payday. And he's made it clear he wants to be on a team that can win, make a playoff push, as well as contend for the Stanley Cup, as well as a team that can pay him the big money. And Ottawa, unfortunately, just doesn't have enough resources to pay him all that money. That's just the reality of it. Erik Karlsson is worth $10 million minimum. He's one of the best defensemen in the league. Now, with that being said, I think it's very unlikely he's going to stay in Ottawa. However, there's two particular teams that I think he could be going to. One of them being one of the greatest teams basically in their inaugural season, and that being the Vegas Golden Knights. You look at what they've done this season and how far they've gone, defeating the San Jose Sharks and going to the Western Conference Finals in their expansion season, their very first ever season in the NHL, and they're going to the Western Conference Finals. Depending how they do against the Jets or Nashville, on whoever wins that series, may even go to the final, which is absolutely insane to think about. So you look at a team like Vegas and how far they've come, and the division wipe that they took because they were number one in their division. Erik Karlsson must look at a team like Vegas and really think to himself, maybe I can really go on this team and elevate them to the next level. Not saying that he is selfish or he is an individual type of player, but adding Erik Karlsson to any team will make your team better by 20% on the blue line or even down the middle. Anywhere on the ice Erik Karlsson is, magic is happening, and that's the reality. He's one of elite defensemen in the NHL, probably comparable to Drew Doughty and Brent Burns. I think probably the best out of all three of them. Now, with that being said, Shea Theodore's contract is going to be coming up. Mark Giroux's contract is going to be getting extended to $5 million at the start of next season. However, they already have $7 million in cap space, as well as the cap is going up to $80 million. It's going to free up another $4 million. And you look at players like Grabowski, David Clarkson, Clayton Stoner, and other players' contracts that they took on from other teams that are going to be coming to an end very soon. And that's going to free up over $15 million more. Now, if Marc-Andre Fleury and James Neal also choose to re-sign with the team for equally as much as they are making now, or even more, it might create a little bit more of a tighter space to try and acquire Erik Karlsson. Vegas was very close to getting Karlsson at the deadline earlier this year. Unfortunately, the deal fell through and they couldn't really get him from the Sens. So, with that being said, I don't know. I think Vegas is the number one runner for getting Erik Karlsson once his contract's up. I don't see why not. You put him on that team, you give him the captaincy, and he can really take that team. Remember, he was on a team on the Ottawa Senators 1 year ago who was one goal away from the Stanley Cup Finals. So I don't know why it wouldn't be that great of a move to try and acquire the defenseman. Give him that 10 or 11 million. Sign Shea Theodore, and that be your top two pairing D-men. Now, that's just my opinion. That's what I think could happen. But another team I think that could really have a great chance of getting Erik Karlsson is the Vancouver Canucks. I know that one is a little bit of a shocker to most of you, but with the retirement of the Sedin twins, that frees up another $14 million. Now, keep in mind you got to sign guys like Virtanen as well as Brock Besser, but their core is going to be very young and looking bright for the future. Vancouver is going to be a very good team in the future. You look at their D core, if hypothetically they were to add the addition of Erik Karlsson. Now, you're going to have Gabrutson, Tanev, Edler, and Erik Karlsson being your top four. Now, with that being said, there's a few moves if I were the Vancouver Canucks maybe possibly think about, and one of them is Alexander Edler and Louis Eriksson's contracts. Now, Louis Eriksson on 6 mil, Alexander Edler on 5.5 mil, I believe, and that is a no-no. Now, Vancouver is projected to pick a defenseman in the draft this year. However, they could switch it up. They might not pick a D-man. They might build more on their offensive core. Who knows? I feel like they will get a defenseman. But again, this is just a hypothetical situation. If they were to sign Erik Karlsson, they're going to have 20 plus million in cap space. And do I think they're going to get rid of Alexander Edler and Louis Eriksson's contracts scratch free? No, most likely you would have to retain some salary to do that. Between the two guys, that's 11.5 million more dollars, and they already have 20 plus million in cap space. Now, if you're the Vancouver Canucks and you really want to build an elite team, you look at players like Erik Karlsson, possibly a Mike Hoffman, or even a JVR to sign to the team and really build that core up so you can be very lethal in the future years. Now, we talk about teams that can win and teams that can afford Erik Karlsson. There's also been speculation about another team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I wouldn't be surprised if we could see a trade in this postseason of Erik Karlsson possibly going to Tampa for the last season on his current contract. There's been talks during the All-Star break of Erik Karlsson possibly getting traded at the deadline to Tampa Bay. However, I guess the deal fell through and they had to settle for Ryan McDonagh. Now, with that being said, players like McDonagh, Strawman, Braden Point, and other great players on Tampa contracts expire in 2 years. So the end of next season, the same time as Erik Karlsson, I think Steve Yzerman is going to have a priority in signing those players, especially Nikita Kucherov, who is going to want the big bucks as well. Very priority to keep him. So if anything happens, I only see Erik Karlsson going to Tampa Bay if a trade happens this season, because they're going to get him for that 6.5 million, and hopefully he gets that Stanley Cup ring for that one season with Tampa Bay, and then hopefully go start his own dynasty team. Now, with that being said, there's still plenty of other teams out there that Erik Karlsson could go for. Like I said, Arizona is definitely a team in rebuild still, but you look at their D-core with the possibility of OEL, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and Erik Karlsson on the top line. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is no doubt, next to Victor Hedman in my mind, the best left-sided defenseman in the league. The only reason that Oliver Ekman-Larsson hasn't had that opportunity to shine is because his D-core isn't too strong. I mean, with the additions of Demers and Goligoski, made the D-core slightly better. Their offense is still struggling a little bit, and we know Erik Karlsson can definitely generate that offense, especially on the power play. He has those slick moves to get by everybody. Put him on the power play with OEL and you can have some magic happening there. Another team, the New York Rangers. However, they're in rebuild mode. Henrik Lundqvist is probably going to be retiring in the next 2-3 years. You look for a team that's going to be a top team in the next 2 or 3 years. And unfortunately, the Rangers just aren't one of them. Now, there's still plenty of other teams out there. You look at Montreal. You look at even maybe like teams like Florida, very young, even possibly Colorado. Look at the season Colorado has had with Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog, players like that. You look at teams like that with those low cap spaces and the potential of possibly adding Erik Karlsson to the team, and what the team could possibly do with that addition of that caliber of player. it just could be absolutely instrumental to how they can really go far into the playoffs for the next season. But Vegas and the Vancouver Canucks are going to be the two biggest teams to look for when Erik Karlsson signs his new contract. All thoughts are open in the comments about what you guys think could happen with Erik Karlsson, and predictions whether or not he could be getting traded at the deadline. And if you guys enjoy this unique commentary straight to the point, then make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications for more commentary that I'll be doing later this week about players and teams. So without further ado, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be coming out with more videos soon, so hopefully you guys enjoy these commentaries, and hope you guys have a great day. See you in the next video.